AI is changing everything, but are immigrants really using AI to succeed? Today, I'm sitting down with someone who studied computer science and they are using AI to build their future and bring an impact and change to the society around them. Hi, welcome back to Judith's Corner, and as usual on this platform, we talk about what it really means to thrive in Canada beyond just arriving. And in today's episode, as you can see, I have a guest. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. This is someone that I've known for a few months now, and she inspires me about a passion for AI. And I thought this is someone that I should bring to Judith's Corner, Thrive in Canada, so they can just share their story and let us know how it's been like as an immigrant here in Canada. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Judith. So I'm Namrata Jagadish. I'm from Bangalore, India, and it's almost been 2.5 years since I arrived here in Canada, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for agreeing to do this. I always start from the beginning, how it all started. So I'm going to ask you, like, what made you decide to come to Canada?
So I've had Canada in my mind since the very beginning, since the time I started my bachelor's.
Okay.
But the foundation was laid when I came here for my tax internship as a visiting researcher back in 2022.
Okay.
And that kind of gave me a first-hand experience of how Canada is, how the culture is, how open-minded the people are, which I really enjoyed and which I really like. So I wanted to build a life here in Canada, and that is how I ended up coming here back for my master's and choosing to live life here in Canada.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's interesting how so many people have different stories to tell when it came to how they chose Canada and why, and I like yours. So, Lakehead University, because that's where you did your master's in computer science. Was there a reason why you chose Lakehead, or is it just because that's where the opportunity came? Were you very intentional about choosing Lakehead as the place you were going to come and do your master's?
So as I mentioned before, when I came here as a visiting researcher, that was for the Aurelia campus of Lakehead University.
Okay.
And I saw how mainly the main statement that said that everybody is a pack. So everybody operates as one pack. I really liked the spirit that the university brought in, and I decided that I'm going to come back to Lakehead, specifically the Aurelia campus. But then unfortunately they didn't have the program, my master's in computer science program back in Aurelia.
Yeah.
So I ended up applying to Thunder Bay campus for my program. And when I was there back as a visiting researcher, I attended the convocation ceremony in 2022 when I was doing my undergrad.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me envision that if I am going to come to Lakehead, I am going to be in that convocation ceremony one day graduating.
Wow.
So I had it all envisioned.
Yeah.
And that was how I ended up choosing Lakehead, specifically the Thunder Bay.
So you saw it, and
Yes.
you were inspired by what you saw, and you went back home and you were like, I'm going to pursue
come to
this.
Lakehead. Yes.
Wow, I love that. I love how you know, it's the power of becoming. To me, like, you see something, you envision it, and you are like, I'm going to go for this,
Yes.
and here you are. Wow, that's amazing. So when you came, I know immigration is not easy. You are talking about how you went back home and you said you were going to come. Let's talk a little bit about that journey, like coming. Was it easy, even getting admission to Lakehead? You know, from the time you started your application process, the visa application, that's another story again. So how was that journey for you, the immigration process? Was it easy? Did it sail through smoothly?
So, in my case, even though I had Lakehead clear in my mind,
Okay.
I was thinking whether I have to work for maybe a year and then come to Lakehead, or whether I have to, start my masters. So for me, I started my process very late. I had like a month or a month and a half for the applications to close. I had to really cut it off real close.
Yeah.
So since I had already done my research about Lakehead University and what might be the documents required, I've been digging into this information from 2 years almost when I was in my bachelor's. So I had an idea of what the documents were and what was the process of applying, what would be the acceptance rate, or like what might be something that the professors might want the students to have, like all the skill sets. So I just had to put all the application things together, like the LORs, and I had to prepare my SOP, which wasn't that difficult for me since I already had this experience with the All India campus, so I could kind of relate to that, and I bought in that aspect here in my SOP and prepared the LORs since in undergrad there was nobody who went to Canada and everybody were quite impressed. So they gave me an LOR. They wrote it for me in a very short span of time.
Wow.
And coming to the immigration part, in India it wasn't that very difficult because there are a lot of Indians who would want to pursue master's course. So and since I'm from Bangalore, there were quite a lot of visa offices around, and immigration was not that difficult. But if anybody is thinking that it might be too late to start their immigration process and they might not get through, you can take me as an example where I had to really cut it off in like 1.5 months, and I could still make it to Lakehead. So I don't think that is something that should hold back anyone, the immigration process, to come here.
It should not be intimidating. I think that sometimes you need to focus on where you want to be.
Yes.
Because if you focus on how immigration can be difficult, then you are not even going to start, right?
Yes.
So for you, I think your focus was getting to Lakehead and doing that master's in computer science, and I see that's what was pushing you, if I can say.
Yes.
And when we come, I know I came too with my family. We come with a lot of expectations, and sometimes when we are here in Canada, the reality hits different. Because we do, I believe you did some research to know where you are going, how life is going to be like. So how was that for you? Like, were your expectations met when you came? Was the reality different from what you imagined before coming?
So I had all the research done for the university, but I didn't do quite any research, in fact, for the city I'm going to be going into. So I had no idea how Thunder Bay looks, how big Thunder Bay city was, or what might be some of the things that people might check on, fun things to do in Thunder Bay, or what might be the growth aspects, what companies might be there in Thunder Bay. I didn't check any of that.
You were just focused on your Lakehead.
So I did my thorough research on Lakehead,
Wow.
and then I just came in, and a very hilarious story. So when I first landed here in Thunder Bay Airport, and then I just went to one of the washrooms just to like freshen up, and then I see a poster at the back of the door that says Thunder Bay, the #1 crime city. And then I was like, okay, where did I like land here? I mean,
so is it someone who wrote, or I mean?
No, it was a very official kind of poster that said, "Be careful."
Really?
There are like druggies or like and so on.
Wow.
So you have to keep careful, and you can call this particular number if something like that comes up.
I see.
So then I went back home and I kind of googled Thunder Bay, and then it gave me a long list of things that's happening. But it's all experience.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's also a learning curve to anyone I think who might be thinking of coming, that it's good to have an idea, I think, of where you are going to, how life is like. That you learn from your experience, but I think to have an idea also maybe was going to sort of
Yeah,
help
kind
you
of,
and
yeah.
relieve you of that shock.
Maybe a little research,
Yeah.
but I would say, even though the city, if it lists on Google saying that there are no companies out here in Thunder Bay,
Yeah.
but there are opportunities in Thunder Bay,
Exactly.
and you just have to make your way through it to kind of figure out what might be the opportunities that is present. Even though there are, in my case, even though there are not lot of IT companies out here, still there are some IT firms that hire for IT professionals.
Yeah.
So it's just very important to have a positive outlook about the city, even
Exactly.
though if somebody else might say something, but if you make your way through it, and I think that is very important to stay optimistic
Yeah.
and open to things.
Yeah, open to things. I'm always stressing that, when you are immigrating, moving into a new environment, different culture, it's very important to come with an open mind, and, willing to learn, willing to adjust and adapt. Thank you for sharing that with us. So when you came in as a student. How was life like as an international student? The way education is here in Canada. I understand you did your bachelor's back home.
Yes.
So life as an international student, let's explore that.
Okay, so coming to the studying part of it, the courses were more of project oriented. Back home, it was more of theoretical
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
But in Canada, I realized that most of the subjects had a project accompanied, so that we get this practical knowledge of what is happening to imply our skills and to use it to build projects.
Okay.
So that was the focus. And the courses were not that difficult for me, I would say, because I did a lot of certifications back home.
Okay.
So I was kind of used to how difficult the courses can be. But coming to like the social life, for instance, as an international student coming in, and also maybe I can talk about like how like to volunteer, to stay like active in the
Okay.
community is
Yeah.
really important.
Okay.
So I took up the leadership program on the very first day I landed in the university.
Oh.
So they were advertising about the leadership program that is there, where you can be a volunteer for
Okay.
different events that's happening in the city and in Lakehead University. So as an international student, it is really important to take up opportunities, be a part of clubs or volunteer. So that is what I did during my 2 years.
Okay.
Being with the team, volunteering for events at the university. I even volunteered at the Wake the Giant concert.
Wow.
Being a part of the
You were
orchestra. Yes, it's just I was a busy international student. Like I was balancing both studies and even social life, and then the volunteering and everything.
Yeah, and you mentioned balancing everything, and that was going to be my next question actually, because I mean you are coming in as an international student. The focus, like what drove you from India to Canada, is you wanted to study and of course succeed in your studies. How did you balance everything, work, life, social life? Anyway, did you manage to work when you were studying?
Yes, I did. So I did my co-op with Ontario Public Service as an IT developer. So there I got to work on portals, public-facing platforms that almost had an impact on like 16 million Ontarians.
Wow.
Yes, so I can still go back to the websites now, and I can see
That's
the
amazing.
bugs that I resolved there, and I can kind of be proud of the work I've done. So yes, I was fortunate enough to land that co-op. And regarding balancing everything,
Yeah.
I would say studies, yes, studies would go on, the grades would come in, and everything would be there. But all the other opportunities, as in volunteering, it all comes only when we are a student.
Yeah.
So it is very important to pick on other things too.
Yeah.
And also to not neglect the studies part, because it's the grades that coming in at the end
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So kind of trying to manage both, finding an intersection between both. So if you are volunteering something, so for something that has to do with tech,
Yeah.
so like I got to learn tech part too.
Okay.
And also I got to use that for my courses, and so something like that, something like an intersection.
An
finding
intersection
balance.
between you are volunteering, you are learning the skills, and you are also gaining experience. I believe of working under the Canadian settings, because it's different from where we are coming from, the work culture and the ethic, and then you take those, you apply them to your school. I think that's a balanced way of doing it. So I mean, do you think Thunder Bay, because I know some people, they come and they are not able to work because maybe they are not able to find an opportunity, but for you came and you were able to work. So can we say Thunder Bay has more opportunities for international students from your perspective, and maybe the people around you? I mean, if you are comfortable answering that.
Yes, for sure. So it's just every organization out here, even the smallest of the smallest firms, or like a startup for instance, would need people who have skills.
Okay.
And as international student, I would say that I already bring in some skills from back home.
Yeah.
We would also have some work experience, but I came in as a fresher with just an internship in hand.
Okay.
So I did have some skills which I developed over that internship.
Yeah.
So it is, first thing is, it's important to find the opportunity by ourselves.
Yeah.
So kind of pitching to the other person, telling that you know what, I have these skills.
Okay.
And this, if you're looking for someone who can who wants to like build a website, then that is something of my expertise.
Okay.
And that is how you get the opportunity here, specifically in Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
And you can also like attending networking events.
Yeah.
And any small event that might be happening is a good start to kind of build that connection and to see what the connection might lead to, kind of thing. So I would say that it is important that you put yourself out there and kind of pitch yourself, and that would bring the right opportunity for you, I would say.
I love that approach. I really love it, because I also believe that as immigrants, when we come in, like you are saying, you came in with your bachelor's, you had your skills already, you had things that you know, so that should not limit you, or the fact that you don't have the Canadian experience, but you go out there, just learn how to communicate what you can do, and that helps you to move forward. Yeah, so did you have any challenges during your journey as an international student? Like, what were some of your biggest challenges, if you had any?
So I'm very introverted by nature, so that is something that I had to work through my course of like 2 years.
Yeah.
So slowly I started talking to people. I came in with the mindset on my orientation day that I'm going to end up having at least 5 friends. Let me talk to 5 people.
Wow, you had goals.
Yes. So I try to talk to people and whom I'm still in touch with now, which is good. And so I'm still working on that part of it, where I'm trying to come out of my shell.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I would say like networking, attending events is something that I've been doing to improve on that.
Okay.
And everybody here has their own thoughts, thinking. So it was difficult for me to kind of adjust to that, kind of think what the other person might be thinking, because their communication style is different. Because it has Canada has like a lot of people coming from different parts of the world, and all the cultures are like different. Another challenge for me is the weather, definitely.
Okay.
Because
All of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
back in India it was very warm, and
Yeah.
I came here and all I could face was like -20,
I know.
-25. Yeah, so weather was definitely a challenge for me, and students specifically might think that finding the right opportunity or finding that co-op or finding even a job after they graduate is a challenge.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, it is important that they have a positive outlook, stay optimistic, and opportunity would eventually come in. And if the opportunity is not knocking on your door, then it is important that you create that opportunity, knock that door, and get that opportunity out there, and giving like 100% is really important, I would say. So these are some of the challenges that I have had in my journey so far.
Don't worry whether it's for all of us. We are all coming from warm climates, but you adjust eventually. And for me, when it comes to weather, when it's really cold, if I hear Canadians also saying, wow, it's cold, I'm like, okay, so I mean, I'm not alone. If Canadians themselves can feel that it's cold, then I mean, it's cold, and we all adjust over time. But I don't think you ever really get used to the cold, but you find ways of surviving. You learn how to layer up, how to dress warm when it's cold, and all that stuff, and life goes
walking like a penguin.
Oh yeah, walking like a penguin, so that you don't sleep off and fall, because that also can be something else. So yeah, it's just a lot to learn, a lot to adjust, and I mean, eventually I'm also optimistic. I believe that no matter what, things take shape over time. Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned all these challenges. Was there ever a time when, I mean, during your journey as an international student, because I know that now you are done, but during that journey, during your studies, was there a time when you felt like, well, maybe I made a wrong decision coming to Canada?
Not exactly coming to Canada, difficult part, but I've had moments where I doubted myself from the very first bus I had to catch, where I was not able to figure out which bus to get in.
We all did that.
I cried at the
Did you?
at the intersection. I was like, okay, I called up a friend and I was like, I don't know where I'm going, I'm not able to figure out what bus this is, and I cried. And so that was my very first thing, and then I got I was laid off after my first part-time job. It was very random for me, and it was just a month since I came in. So I had to find another opportunity in a week. I wanted something to kind of like stabilize on my financial things. So I had to find that opportunity in a week, where I had to struggle, go to different stores out there, pass out my resume, give it out, and tell them how I can be a good fit, kind of putting myself out there, as I mentioned. And yes, I did end up getting a job. So that was just 5 minutes away from my house. It all worked out well. And the other challenges, I would say, is again doubting myself when if I could ever get a co-op, for instance. Was again, I felt like I came here as a student, I had an opportunity back home for full time, but I'm here in Canada, I'm looking for a co-op, so would it be something that I would do? So in those cases, it is very important that you are in touch with your peers, your family, for instance, who actually kind of supported me, and they were like, we know that you are going to do it, we know that you are going to get that opportunity, it's just matter of time, so you'll be fine. So it is very important to have like that
community
support from your peers, having good friends.
I mean, support community, it's important, and that's one other thing. Like for you, settling in, you mentioned already the challenges and everything, but did you manage to connect socially, culturally? How was that, like life in general, in Canada compared to your way of life in India?
So I came to Canada with a set of friends, not my very own friends, but I
Okay.
met them on WhatsApp groups.
Oh,
We were in the
okay.
same WhatsApp
I
group.
see.
So we kind of found a place together, and
Here in Thunder
yes,
Bay.
in Thunder
Oh,
Bay.
that's amazing.
Yes, and we just moved here, like 4 or 5 girls.
Okay.
But then I kind of we had like conflicts on our thoughts and
Yeah.
everything, so the thinking was a little different. So
Okay.
I ended up moving out.
Oh.
But I've always wanted to like meet people that are not from India, like not
Yeah.
always from
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
So I ended up volunteering a lot. So
Okay.
that is where I met a lot of my friends whom I
Okay.
know today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's important to like have a lot of good friends.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
say.
yeah.
And yeah, and all of these connections come in when we put ourselves out there.
When we put ourselves out there.
Volunteer,
Yeah.
attending events,
Yeah.
and so on.
You are right. Yeah, let's move on from settling in and everything. I know that. So once you are done with your studies, because now I know you completed, you are still to graduate. From my conversations with you, you are going to graduate, but let's talk about the transition from the time you completed school. Now maybe the anxiety, or should I say the worry of how to get that first job opportunity. How was that like for you?
So in my case, my timeline was different. So I was supposed to graduate last year in May, and since I did my co-op,
Yeah.
my program got extended, and I
Okay.
ended up graduating December last year.
Okay.
And I had all my grades come in January,
Yeah.
and I couldn't digest the fact that I graduated. So I was in that mindset that I'm still a student.
Oh,
I do
okay.
not have to face the world right now.
Oh.
Like get the job right now. But I got my parchment in February.
Wow.
And the day I got my parchment, and when people around me started congratulating me for graduating, that
Yeah.
is when it just
Clicked
striked
in.
me as like, oh my god, I just graduated.
Yeah.
I'm not in like school or something anymore, and
Yeah.
like I don't. It's not like I have to, stay at home without a job, just do part time, come back home, study. I
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. I
Yeah.
need a real job.
Yeah.
So I was very overwhelmed,
Oh.
very anxious, very scared. I must say it's very common that
Yeah.
you feel that anxiousness, feeling overwhelmed. So I happened to graduate, and then I went on a walk
Yeah.
very normally, and it then I started crying.
On the walk.
I was watching the sunset.
Okay.
I saw the sun go down.
Yeah.
It's like a chapter was ending.
Oh.
And that teared me up.
Oh.
I started crying. But then I have this habit of, like consoling me. So I take a video of myself
Oh.
for my future self,
Yeah.
so that I can go back to the video kind of thing and tell
And remember.
tell her that it's going to be fine. I speak with myself, to myself as my future self. So after I cried one round, I took out my phone and I recorded myself saying, you know what, you graduated that time, and you have an opportunity, you're coming in May, and I truly believe that something is coming for you in May.
Oh, nice.
And then,
I love that.
yeah, I was just trying to encourage myself, cheer myself up. And even my mother back home, so she was very optimistic, and she was very firm on telling me that, you know what, there's something coming for you in May. She told me this in January.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay. So I recorded myself, and I told my future self that, you know what, I will come back to this video. I'm going to schedule in my email that this video will reach you on May 15th, and then you will tell your older self, like the previous version of yourself, that everything would be fine.
Wow.
So this is how I felt when I graduated. So it's more like feeling overwhelmed and stressed is kind of normal for
Yeah.
graduates, and
Yeah.
specifically for like students like myself who didn't have like work experience back home. I just graduated and came in with no experience.
Oh, okay.
So it's normal. And when I saw my peers out there or my seniors out there, they graduated 2 years back, they didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So that kind of scared me
Oh,
more.
okay, I see.
But
yeah.
It is important to like regulate oneself
Mhm.
and try to get back on that track,
Yeah.
because just crying wouldn't do the job.
No.
So, or just feeling like, okay, they are not able to do it, so I can't do it. No. So their case is different. My case here is different.
Yeah.
So their own cases will be different. So even though if they can't, then it is possible that you can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to believe in yourself.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
would say.
So I mean, so from that part of feeling relieved that I'm now graduated, you started looking for job opportunities.
Yes.
I believe. And so let's talk about, so that transition, was it easy? How long did it take for you to land that first job opportunity, and how is it going? Like, are you now working, and how is that going for you?
So I got my parchment and everything. That was on February, and I promised to myself that I'm going to apply to at least like 5 jobs, proper jobs,
Okay.
from like the very day I graduated. So I sat through my applications very tediously, and I didn't I didn't give some slack, or I focused on applying
Okay.
mainly. So it is very important to stay consistent with
Yeah.
your applications or with whatever you aim to do.
Okay.
So for me, when I started applying, and then I think I heard back from one of the organizations here in Thunder Bay
Okay.
in the next 15 days.
Wow.
When I started my applications,
Okay.
I've had a couple of other interviews
Mhm.
with other organizations as well
Okay.
here in Thunder Bay before I could take up my first opportunity.
Okay.
So I started off as an AI innovation intern at one of the organizations here in Thunder Bay, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Congratulations.
Yes, and coincidentally, it turns out that it was on my birthday too.
Oh, I'm excited for you that you already got your first job opportunity. That's really exciting, and I think it came as a relief to you, like it removed all your worries and anxieties, and you should go back to that video
Yes.
and watch it again, because we are approaching May and here you are rocking it in your first job, and I mean, I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you are so passionate about AI from the small time that I've known you. I mean, you have actually impacted on me, if you don't know. Like, I used to be, can I say, I can say I'm tech savvy a bit, but AI just intimidated me somehow. But looking at you, listening to your story and all has kind of inspired me, if you didn't know. So, I mean, where does your passion come from? Like, I know that you came to Canada to do computer science and all, but growing up, how did you delve into technology and just wanting to learn more? And now with this AI era, you keep learning. Where does your passion come from?
So it all started off in my school days. So we had a competition to like design a digital art kind of thing
Okay.
with one of the softwares back in school.
Yeah.
And I designed like a peacock,
Oh.
very colorful peacock,
Okay.
and they gave me first place for that.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, this is fun. This
Yeah.
is something that I would enjoy if I take on
Okay.
as my career. And my mother is a professor back home,
Okay.
and my father is also in the same college. They work in the same college.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew students who are into technology,
Okay.
IIT field. So I took computer science up for my bachelor's
Okay.
as my bachelor's program,
Mhm.
and I got the chance to delve more into the programming languages. AI was not a thing
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to know how to code things from scratch. Then how, since AI was not there, so everything was done.
I'm going to pause you there. You learned how, you kind of learned how to code. Way, how, like, yeah, because it's things like that. Like, okay, you had an interest. So did you take your laptop and did you go somewhere? How did you learn? Did you
Yeah.
teach? Did you self-teach, or this was already when you were in school?
So foundation was laid in school for me,
Yeah.
but I did a lot of self-learning too.
Okay.
So I referred to different YouTube channels that
Okay.
had to do with coding. So if you could just like Google it, basic fundamentals of say Python programming language.
Okay.
There are a lot of videos right now, and they can lay a foundation for you to
Okay.
kind of learn a coding language.
Yeah.
And for me, it was also from attending workshops,
Okay.
webinars,
Okay.
because that is where they would talk about programming, coding,
Yeah.
technology in general. Even my initial AI journey began through that. So attending these workshops where they talk about AI, technology, code was important. So
Okay.
attending those events will give you an idea of what these tools are, to be used how. And one of the resources I would like to point out today is Free Code Camp. So
Okay.
that is where
Free Code Camp.
Camp.
It's on YouTube.
No, it's a website.
Or it's a website.
And
Okay.
you can, they'll have like a step-by-step implementation
Mhm.
of these concepts. So you get to learn the theoretical side as well as kind of code through, and you end up doing a project at the very end. So you can get like an idea of what is going on.
Yeah.
Or even like taking up like even unpaid small internships
Mhm.
at startups
Mhm.
was important.
Mhm.
So that was where I could learn more too, because I kind of volunteered to like build a website for one of the NGOs back in my
Okay.
undergrad.
Nice.
Then attending hackathons, for instance, is
Mhm.
helpful in that case.
Okay. Yeah, I think you will share with me some of those links so that if someone was watching or you are out there and maybe you are wondering where you can start from when it comes to the tech field, but you want to venture into it, I'm going to ask Nam to share some links that I'll just post as in the comment section of this video when we upload it. Yeah, so do you think though that as immigrants, when we are coming in, if we learn AI, because now it's AI, it's no longer computer science, but I feel like AI is now, taking over, like it's just technology advancing. Do you think as immigrants, we can succeed faster if we learn AI?
Yes.
Or anyone for that matter?
Anybody can benefit from AI right now. So back then when I had to do my research manually, now that can be done with AI.
Yeah.
So you can collect reviews,
Okay.
and see, get like a very brief information about a very long summary, like
Okay.
a long detailed document can be summarized, for instance.
Okay.
And IT professionals like myself use a lot of AI to code
Okay.
nowadays. So we call it vibe coding. So
Okay.
vibe coding is where you use AI from A to Z to build a website.
Wow.
At this point, it can be a little overwhelming to begin,
Mm-hmm.
but once you kind of like give it a chance, you can build on that and try to like learn further things as well, and realize how amazing AI can be at this point. And
amazing.
yeah, like even in your daily tasks, we
Mhm.
can like use AI for scheduling meetings,
Okay.
or maybe if you have some homework where you have to like write an essay, for instance,
Okay.
to get like a brief, not to like not to have plagiarism or something,
Yeah.
but maybe to get an idea.
Maybe you write your ideas
Idea.
and then you
Yeah.
go now to AI
Yes.
to
To build it
build
around.
it and to
Yeah.
maybe use the correct language.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, AI is amazing, and I'm learning also now every day from people around me. When I see people like you, then I can ask one or two questions, and if you give me a link, I can also go there and just learn more. And one other thing that I learned from one presenter who presented at one event that I attended, she was talking about it's not really a matter of you saying, now I want to become a techie person or I'm going into AI full time, but you can build, your career or use AI as a pillar. Like I'm in finance, there's a lot that I can use AI for. If you are a teacher, if you are social worker, whatever career field you are in, I believe that AI can
Yes.
somehow magnify what you do and make life easy
Right.
for you somehow if used the right way.
Yes,
I think.
yeah, the one thing I would highlight is knowing how to responsibly use AI,
Yes.
knowing what we can feed AI with, like maybe not feeding more personal details,
Okay.
banking information,
Exactly.
or something that has to do with your location, for instance, is
Okay.
still not safe.
Yeah.
So knowing what is more ethical
Okay.
and how we should responsibly be using AI for our tasks is
Yeah.
something that I usually stress about
Okay.
for someone who might be starting their journey with AI.
Okay.
But it's not something that you need to be scared of.
Yeah.
Because if you feed in more generalized information as you finish the prompts, then it can give you a better result.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not very necessary to have more sensitive information fed into AI, but it's not something definitely that you shouldn't be scared of.
Okay, so what AI tool can you say do you recommend, or do you think everyone at least should be using? Is there one, or maybe in general, like what tools do you use yourself in your day-to-day life, in your career?
I use Gemini a lot.
Okay.
Gemini AI is something that I've been using like ever since, because Gemini has this integrated it's an integrated AI tool where you can draft a document. So if
Okay.
you just go to Google Docs and key in, put a very rough draft on, say, a meeting
Yeah.
thing or something like that, then if you give it elaborate on this, so it gives you an entire document.
Oh,
Or
okay.
it can format the document. So I use that a lot, and even it is integrated within my Gmail.
Yeah.
So I tend to I can just draft email replies in like a second now, because I can just say I reply to this email,
Yeah.
and it will give me a very clean format, and I can refine on it if I would want to.
Okay.
So Gemini is something that I would use a lot. We can build our own AI agents within it too. So, but I think as a beginner, Gemini is a good start, or even ChatGPT is something that is very popular.
I was like, she's not mentioning ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is indeed very popular.
Okay.
But during my final year project, I kind of moved
Okay.
to Gemini to
Oh.
kind of get more
So
insights.
Gemini, we can say it's like advanced than
Since, yeah,
ChatGPT.
because it can integrate into my Gmails and my docs.
Okay.
So that's why I would prefer Gemini. Or else ChatGPT, I'll have to feed in everything and say, can you reply to this email?
Okay. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like something like that. So instead, I'll have it within my Gmail. So
Yeah.
I do not have to go back to Gemini AI
Okay. Okay.
for that.
I
And
see.
one more tool I would say is Gamma AI. So that
Okay.
is something I used for my portfolio site. So
Okay.
when I needed a portfolio site for that very same day to submit for an application,
Okay.
I ended up using Gamma AI. I just fed in my resume to that.
Okay.
Again, masking personal details like
Mhm.
not phone number, having phone number, or email,
Mhm.
or location.
Mhm.
But I just added my resume, and it gave me a full-fledged website for my
Okay.
portfolio. So
Wow.
that's a good tool, and you
Yeah.
can prepare like presentations, PPTs in like maybe like 10 seconds. You just feed in some document and you'll be like, give me a presentation. It auto generates like 10 slides which you can readily present, and it's very decent too. These are some tools I would say.
Yeah, I mean, lots of tools and lots to learn with this AI. So, do you have a platform I mean, because I know you are so passionate even about sharing what you know, like, where is there somewhere where people can follow you or can connect with you? Where can people find you if they want to learn more about your journey, AI, or yeah?
I think LinkedIn would be somewhere that I'm
LinkedIn.
very active, so I'm open to
Okay, so
keeping up with
and on LinkedIn you are Namrata
Jagadish.
Okay.
And you can add in the link for me as
Okay.
well, and they can reach
Connect
out.
to you
Yeah,
on
like-
LinkedIn.
Or even my email is fine.
Okay.
You can feel free to like reach out.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, guys, if you want to know more about her journey, computer science, how she got the research, and I understand you got a scholarship, right?
Yes.
You started on scholarship. So, she started on scholarship. You can follow her on LinkedIn. I'll put her details in the comment section. Of course, she gave the permission to do that. So, Namrata, as we are going to the end of our conversation, I have one question that I always want to ask, that what does thriving mean for you right now here in Canada? I know you came, you had goals, but what does thriving look like for you?
Thriving for me would be in an all-round aspect.
Okay.
So it can be my like being more open to things, like how I'm trying to come out of that fixed mindset.
Yeah.
So growing as an individual is something for me which I would say is thriving.
Okay.
Because back home I would be a very different person. I was a very different person.
Okay.
So after I came here, I'm kind of expanding my thinking and all of that. So that is one aspect. Financially thriving is another aspect which is
Okay.
important for
Yeah,
me
yeah.
personally. So getting a good job,
Yeah.
finding the right opportunity, and so on, so that you're financially more stable.
Yeah.
So I want to build that stability and kind of set my future here in Canada. So that is when I would say that I have thrived
Okay.
in Canada. For me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you are thriving. You've made a lot of connections, and through what you've studied, you are also, making an impact, sharing your knowledge and what you know with other people, which I think is also important. So as you thrive, you also help other people to thrive and maybe just learn from you, because we all have stories to tell as an immigrant. And one last question is, not question as such, but maybe a chance for you to advise anyone out there. It can be around AI and immigration, coming as an international student, because that's your story, that's your journey. What could you advise to someone who might want to follow your path, what you did, immigrating, coming to study, and just taking on AI, boldly? What can you say to anyone out there?
I would say not to say no to any opportunity out there, being open to opportunities and taking them as they come in. And as I mentioned, to knock on the door yourself if the opportunity is not knocking on yours, and not to be afraid to be something different, because everybody would want to go on one path, but if you want to go on another path, it's still fine, and not to like care about what the other people would think. And just do your thing and be yourself, and I think there are a lot of things happening around us, and being ourselves and maintaining our individuality and uniqueness is something that we have to focus on. So just be yourself out there and put yourself out there, and if people like you, it's well and good, and if they don't, then it's their loss. So this is something that I would advise everyone out there.
Wow, that's beautiful advice. That's beautiful advice. Thank you. So there you have it, guys. The journey is not easy. It's not like it's a bed of roses. When you immigrate, you listened to a story. There are moments when you cry. There are moments when you worry, anxiety, and I think that's just the journey of life. But we hope that from this conversation, you learn one or two, and it helps you along your path. Even if you are planning to immigrate, if you are planning to study computer science like she did, or you are walking, that journey, transitioning from being a student to working. February you were crying, but now you are working, and maybe big opportunities could be coming your way. Who knows what the future holds? So thank you so much for coming to sharing your journey, and we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me here today, Judith.
Thank you guys for watching, and remember to like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I encourage you to do so, because we have more beautiful conversations that are coming. So until next time, bye.